We've gone from this to this, and we are nowhere near finished. I'm transforming the landscape in this forever Minecraft world, and I'm giving you an updated version every single month. The new update is now available in both Bedrock and Java. I'll let you know how you can get hold of it a little bit later on in the video. But I need to finish this central island town before I can move out in all directions and transform the surroundings into a living, breathing Minecraft universe, complete with missions and quests, places to explore, and dungeons to survive. This is Avornia. Let's crack on. So we are 3 episodes in and we've not even finished this central island yet. There's a lot of detailing left to do. Look, this all looks very green and flat. I'm going to need to do something with that. I'm going to need to build up some more bits and pieces in the middle here. There's too much green. You ever feel like you've bitten off more than you can chew? And that's before I touch anything over there in the distance. So plans for today is to finish the edging all the way around the island, because some of it is just flat and straight into the water. Get some more detailing on this land. These paths need fencing, we need loads more bushes, and most of all, we definitely need some trees. This area here could do with decorating. I need to work out what I'm going to do with this really narrow strip of water. I might need to widen that up a bit, and we need to make a feature of the portal and join it up to the island as well. So, not too much then. I think what I'm going to start with is this area at the bottom of that waterfall that we did in the last episode. It's really shallow and I don't want to make it too rocky. It's going to need a few rocks and things like that, possibly out in the water as well as on the coastline, but it's also going to need lily pads, bulrushes and all that kind of thing too. With it being the exit of this waterfall, I just feel that it needs a little bit of life. The first thing I needed to do was change the texture of that floor. It was just too sandy, so I brought in a mixture of coarse dirt and gravel, kept some sand in as well, and a little bit of andesite just to give a different colour. And then I had to edge around the grass just to give me a bit of a template to play with before I built up in the water. Once I'd finished that edging, I thought I'd do the bulrushes first. I want loads and loads of bulrushes in here, so with green glass and brown candles, I put several at different heights and then brought in a number of sea pickles. I want it to be lit up. Not that I don't want anything to spawn in there, I just think it's going to look much nicer. I wanted to place seagrass in the shallow level, but not with bone meal, it would be too blocky, so I did it one at a time before coming along with my lily pads and literally spamming the entire area. I wanted loads of lily pads on here. It's just going to look nice and green from a distance, and it makes sense with all of those bulrushes. I also wanted to bring some rocks, so I pulled a few blocks of different stones, including some mossy variants, and created some little stony outcrops in amongst those lily pads, because they'll be just sticking out enough for us to be able to put a few plants on towards the end. I then used bone meal in the deeper areas to bring 2 high seagrass in, placed some slabs on the shallow areas to break it up and texture it, and started on the rocky shore. I then used different textures of blocks, slabs and stairs in stone to bring out that rocky shore around that natural lagoon. That also meant I needed to put in a little bit more light to make sure that we didn't have anything spawn on those areas. And then it was time to put the bushes in as well. I need plenty of greenery around the outside. It needs to be life full, also with flowers, lilacs and roses look really good here. And with that, the lagoon is done and it looks great in front of that cascading waterfall. I'm really quite pleased with the way that one has gone. Let me just jump up on there. It looks pretty cool from this end. I need to do some of this, looks a little bit bland up here. And if I come over here, it looks nice from the outside as well. Obviously we've got all of this side here that needs sorting out and all of this side here that needs sorting out. In fact, you know what? I think I'm going to sort those out now. And I think we've edged off all the way around the island now. All the way around here. Then we get to the port. And obviously the port is the edge in itself. We've got this gorgeous little hill area. I really do like that with the bridge going over the top. And then the second port over this side, which is the bigger port. Then we get the farm. And then on this side, we've got even more kind of rocky edging coming around here. And then I thought I'd put just a little bit of beach in. I think it needs to have at least one little bit of beach, and then the rock continues on until we come into all that lily pad, the lagoon with the little rocks. That's beautiful. I'm so pleased with the way that's worked out. And then it carries on around all the way around here until we get to the quarry. And then on this side, we just got this little stretch here that's got this nether portal in it. I need to do something with this. It either needs to be joined up or pulled apart. I'm not sure which way to go with it. This kind of lends itself to a bit of a natural lagoon again though, doesn't it? Which is quite pretty. I wonder whether or not this maybe needs to be just trimmed ever so slightly just to keep a separation. And I definitely want to do something with this nether portal. My gut tells me this bit here just needs to be trimmed off a little bit, and it shouldn't be too hard because it's naturally kind of outcropping. It doesn't make a lot of sense, so I'm going to trim this down, and I'm going to do it by using an air sphere, a 5 wide air sphere. So it's quite big but not super big, but I am going to need to mask that. So I'm going to mask that with, it's going to be what, grass blocks, also grass, and also probably dirt blocks as well, isn't it? So let's try that. And if I just take out this along here, that is going to leave a blooming great big hole that I'm going to need to fill in with water. But I think that's not so bad. That's a lot easier than taking it out block by block, that's for sure. Although I'm going to need to smooth off the top of this now as well, just to make that a little bit more interesting. I think what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to use a little bit of sand in a cylinder and a sphere just to remold this. Although I think taking it down's worked quite well. That's nicer actually. I much prefer it, but I'm going to build it back up. I'm going to take out some of the stone as well, but I'm going to build it back up with a little bit of sand just to make it into a reasonable size, but that's still too close, can you see? So let's take that out, that stone. That looks a lot wider. I am much happier with that. It looks like I've missed out a couple of buckets there. So let me just grab myself a bucket of water. Just gonna fill in those 2 spots there, and we are golden. Okay, that is wide enough to classify this as still being an island. Now what I can do is I can work on this. I've got some thoughts on how I'm going to play with this. I think this should be a feature. The nether should be a good way of communicating from long distances apart, and this island is definitely a trading hub, so I think having something here is going to be really special for them. So let's focus on making this one look really good. First thing we obviously need to do is turn it into a functional portal like that, although I've got to be honest, I wonder if we might make it just a little bit bigger, because whilst it's bigger than a normal portal, I quite fancy the idea of making it a little bit more grand. So let's maybe go not loads bigger, just a little bit. That's probably enough. Let's get rid of those bits. That looks fab. I'm happy with that. So that's going to be the size of the actual portal. We are, however, going to bring the nether into the overworld and connect it up to the mainland using all of this nether blocks. Sounds like another time lapse to me. Let's get this one done. This has turned out better than I hoped it would. This nether overworld mix looks fantastic, and it's created another bridge, albeit a footbridge, across to the landmass, which is good. The more connections we've got, probably the better. I put a few boats in the harbour and then sailing off in that direction. I've not had any sail off in that direction yet, although that looks like it should have some boats going off to it. And here I've created, it was sort of all enclosed with the bridge over there and that landmass there, so I made it into a bit of a lagoon, plenty of bulrushes, a few more lily pads. I need to maybe do some with the ground underneath, and I trimmed up the entire edge, was the last bit of edge on the island, to be able to make it into rock. So the island's edge is now completed. We've got entrance up here that goes right up to the marketplace in the middle. We're nearly done here, people. This is exciting. So what I'm doing really now is adding in minor details, making these steps up a little bit less harsh so they don't seem like, I don't know, a bit of a jump. Just feels like a bit of a jump when I have it like that. If I do that there, and that there, I think that's probably enough. And then we carry that on, not everywhere, but in a few different places. I think that looks so much better. Those steps look far less aggressive, nice and smooth. I've also put a load of lighting on lampposts. We've got some fences with lamps on. It just makes for a much lighter area, and I'm hoping that I've taken out any spawn spots that might be around. I may have missed a couple, but we'll address those in a minute. Which means it's time for the final touches. I'm going to be putting in some bushes and, at last, some trees. I bet you thought I was never going to get to the trees. I also want to add in a few other little details like these rocky flower beds, and maybe even the odd water feature. And I am totally making these up as I go along. I'm just sort of banging in a little bit of stone just as a frame. Doesn't even have to be very regular. Let's make this one ever so slightly different shape. So let's bring that out there, that out there, there and there. And I'm kind of putting in a little bit of coarse dirt to avoid the green grass coming on. See, like I did just there. Try and make it a little bit more of an interesting shape, this one perhaps. I could even put in some gravel here, couldn't I? I'll maybe put in some gravel in just a second. And then I'm bringing in a few kind of little slabs. I'm spattering out the colours that we've got here until it becomes something that's just a little bit more attractive. And because you're building it up as you go along, it doesn't matter if you make a few mistakes. Like I've already fluffed this up a little bit, I reckon. But if I bring in, I don't know, maybe a cobblestone there, we can kind of andesite this bit at the front. That can be andesite as well. And I'm just cracking on and trying to make it as natural looking, kind of, without it being too natural as I possibly can. And as you come along the main road there, you end up with something that looks really quite pretty as you're up here. It's like a grotto now, a few flowers, a little bit of lighting, plenty of bushes, but it looks really attractive and breaks up that green as well. Grey really works well to break up the green, and I think I'm going to put a few more rocks here and there before I start scattering in all of that bush and tree. Yeah, I think that was definitely the right idea. I've not overdone the rock, but every now and again you've got that little bit of rocky outcrop just poking up with a bit of detail. Not too much on the inside of the island because that's going to be more work. Let's get the bushes, let's get the trees. It's time to finish this thing. And I've kind of forgotten what trees I've got and also what orientation there are. So if I pause one there and then come along here, make myself a bit of a platform out of dirt. That's probably big enough. I don't know. I've got quite a lot of trees. Let's pause to that. And then if I set that with, let's go for dirt, I think. That will give me a platform made out of dirt. And then along here, what I can do is I can schematic, spelt right, schematic load, and let's say spruce 1. And if I come and stand literally on the edge here, it will tell me when I paste it in where my spruce is. Right, so they're all slightly to the right of me. So if I undo that there and I rotate that 90 and then paste that, that's going to come in that side. Okay, so I'm going to undo that, rotate that 180 degrees. Now I'm fairly sure that all of them are oriented in the same way. So if I then paste that like that, that's in the front of me like that. So that is a big old spruce there. If I then come slightly sideways here and schematic load spruce 2, and then I paste that without the air, that should be, no, that's the side of me, of course, because I've not rotated it. Undo that. rotate that -90, paste that. That's a much smaller tree. Okay, and if I get myself a platform full of trees, it'll remind me exactly what I've got. So there are all my tree schematic. Oak 1 to 5, poplar 1 to 2, only one birch, because who needs more than one birch, right? You have then got spruce group 1 and spruce 1 to 5. Now, I don't think I'm going to use all of these at the moment. We'll certainly use all of them during the entire world, that's for sure. But I think only the smaller ones are likely to fit on this island. I might need to do a little bit of customization of them, definitely. I might even do a few new custom trees as well. It's about time we finish this island. Sounds like a time lapse. Sit back, relax, enjoy the music. At last, we're finishing it. This has been a serious journey from this dockyard right at the point of the island all the way through the living area and beyond. It's been so much fun building up all of these different areas, this kind of walkway here, all the lighting, all of the trees and the bushes now in place. We've added real life and character to this entire island, and I think we've done a pretty good job. The island also has an identity now with its own banner, with some of the ships proudly flying it, and the dock areas making it really clear where the boats have arrived to. We've added a number of few extra little details in, for example, this stable here just by the market. And the journey up to the top of the hill is far more interesting with lots of trees, bushes, wildlife. I probably ought to throw a few rabbits and stuff in here because there's bound to be rabbits, right? Right up to the very top. And I'm telling you now, the view is really good. But this island is only stage 1 of goodness knows how many stages when I build up the entirety of this world, from that weird shaped looking mountain in the background to the islands down the sea. I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet. I'm going to have a real think. But no matter what I do with it, you're going to be able to enjoy it too, whether it is on screen watching me build it or as a redstone patron or above, where you can download this world and play in it yourself. Details on how to become a patron are at avomance.com. That's avomance.com. You can go to my Discord, where there is a patron only area with a link for this download, and that is also on my Patreon page too. I am genuinely enjoying making this world, and if you are too, then maybe consider hitting that like button. It really helps out the channel, costs you absolutely nothing, and possibly, if you haven't done it already, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any updates. Because that'd be crazy, wouldn't it? Next episode, we're going to start our journey out a little bit further. I think I'm going to join up this land with the sea, because that bit over there beyond that sandbank, I think that's got a long way to go, and perhaps we've got a distant town that this island could be trading with. Also, just down here on the right hand side, that is some seriously gorgeous terrain. I've got to do some of that, right? I am genuinely spoilt for choice about what I can do next. We've got loads of areas we can play with. I hope you come along too. I look forward to seeing you in another video. You take it easy now. Bye.